Do you want to post a link to? But never
How's
mind.
everybody
You're not on the
doing?
computer. Yeah.
I'm tired.
Yo, sick.
On our Twitch.
Hmm. What are you saying, Sophia?
The good ones that grab people's attention. Like my friend who VTubes, his says Dokuryu slid up into your DMs, which is pretty clever.
What does it say?
Dokuryu, which is his name,
Oh.
slid up into your DMs.
That's what it says whenever he goes live.
Yeah. I changed
Sorry.
my Trans Girl Omni Twitch channel to say when I go live, Trans Girl Omni has handed you a magical sword. So people get a notification on their phone that says our channel name and then whatever you put in. So you could say Witches Betwixt is awake and alive, or I don't know, something clever and funny, whatever you think would represent us well.
No, that's my problem. Is I'm very tired. My brain can't think of clever and funny things at the moment. Is that a sneeze or a laugh?
Laugh.
Oh, okay.
Laugh, sneeze.
Really
Sneeze, laugh.
a slap.
What am I doing? Twitch.
Okay,
live.
slap sounds like a fucking like staph infection.
A slap.
I got a slap infection.
Yeah.
It's fatal.
It's fatal.
And the back of my head looks great. I'm just gonna stay like this the entire stream.
Yep. That's it. That's the stream.
What up, nerds?
Back
Are
of
we
your
live?
head. Yes, we are
Yeah, we're
live.
live.
What up, nerds?
I'm trying to share that in the channel that I don't know exists, because I'm just not finding it right now.
Let's put in the announcements channel.
Thank you.
How's all my fags holding up?
I'm really tired today. I think mostly because I just did a lot of physical activity I'm not used to doing yesterday. My sister bought a house recently and it needs some TLC, like paint and stuff like that. So me and Rue went over and we were helping paint. And when you work a desk job and you start painting a fucking room, you're like, oh shit, this is a lot of work.
Oh god, it's hideous. Look away.
Oh no. So yeah, I'm just a little tired and a little sore today, but
I didn't have coffee yet. I was up fucking last night doing drugs at the 100 Gex concert.
The who?
100 Gex. Yeah, you probably have and was like, what the fuck is that? And then swiped off their music. It's like hyper pop or trash pop. They sing with like really heavy auto tune and shit. It's fun. I was mistaken in the crowd, not the crowd, the line, like when I was going to line up, this guy who's doing interviews with people, he's like, yo, and he says some girl's name, and I'm like, what? And he's like, that's you. You're 100 Gex. We're all here to see you. And I'm like, what? No. And they're like, he's like, huh? And I'm like, bro, I'm here to see them. And I like go and stand in line. He's like, what the fuck? You mean? Well, and, like he was actually like doing interviews, right? Kind of like how Nardwar does. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's an interviewer who goes around. He has like a person with him who records for him, and then he like asks artists questions. So this guy was hoping to like catch the artist out there to ask her questions, and he thought that I was her.
That's funny as shit. I don't think I've ever been mistaken as someone popular. Maybe one day.
Fuck, I get it all the time because I look pretty, and then people are like, I feel like I've seen you before. I think I should know who you are, right? It's like, bruh, I just look like a lot of different people. Like I could double as like Margot Robbie or like the main singer from this band or like several other fucking people. You could body double me as Marilyn Monroe if you make up me right and put the right wig on me, because I don't really have a very feature-filled face, and so however I do my makeup is how I look, you know? Like, Jay, you remember seeing features or like photos of me from like 4 years ago in transition.
Oh yeah, I mean I saw a good chunk of your metamorphosis.
Yeah, whole different fucking person in the early stages, right?
Your makeup skills have only improved.
I don't even know if they improve so much as they just morph. Because like I see other girls rocking looks that I used to like roll, and I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck, girl, that works for you. Holy shit. Okay.
Mm.
And like, makeup's less about what's the perfect thing and more like what's the perfect thing for you. You know what I mean?
I think that's an important thing, especially, I mean, because like Rue did up their full face for today's recording. For those that
Mm-hmm.
are listening to the audio only version, Rue, how would you describe your look for today?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I was like, oh, we're talking about makeup. Perfect, because I just spent the last 2 hours on this face. But I'm actually quite proud of it because I've learned that, see, I have a very feature-filled face. Like you can see my cheekbones, you can see my big Jew nose, and I realize I can't contour away my nose. So it's really just better to enhance. But I literally, my inspiration is my contacts. And I learned how to color match. I literally fixed my face tone. I think my eyebrows look all bleak right now, like what's up. But it really, makeup it's just about adding color to your face to make your face look slightly different, and contouring
Um,
is just filling in shadows and adding light to the fullest parts of your face.
But the look
I
today is
can
very blue
describe.
eyeballs.
I was gonna say I can describe the look if you want from like a third party source.
Yes.
Please do, because I suck.
Um, do you want me to make it slightly rude but funny?
Please read me, honey. I'm used to it.
Imagine the color palette of Sonic the Hedgehog's taint, right where it goes from blue to white as it like fades. And you have like the
Nice.
really nice blue on the outside and like the really nice framing white on the inside.
Beautiful.
That's wonderful.
Today's look inspired
But,
by Sonic the Hedgehog.
but yes, we just have a
His
very
taint.
natural blue green. If you wanted we have a blue green cut crease with a little shimmery white in the inner corner. I don't do lashes because I'm blind, and I can't see with lashes on, so I like to see when I'm recording.
No,
And we just have a nice little neutral lip.
some
Huh?
lashes are so big. Like it looks like damn eyelids. Like like you can't
There's a reason
see.
for that. So like I was on a date with somebody last night who had big fake eyelashes, and
Could
when
you
they
see
shot
them?
upwards, um could they see them?
Could I mean
Or could
like
I?
could you see their actual eyeball underneath all the lash?
Well, I mean, I could see where the lash connected to their eyeball.
Right.
What I was saying though is they're big because it catches light from above in a club or studio setting, and it actually produces a shadow effect on the bottom that recreates the upper lashes on the bottom, and gives you like this very full stage look that you don't necessarily get. So that's why a lot of people actually only really do the top eye, because when you're in that performing setup, it does kind of naturally like, you know. Fuck. And I
Most
guess I
people I
shouldn't say that
know
I
put bottom
go
lashes
ahead.
on. Like I have bottom lashes upstairs and I
Some
haven't
people
even
do, yeah.
attempted to put them on.
It also
If
depends
you're
on
in
your eye type,
drag,
right?
yes. Yeah.
Wings on
Not
your
everybody can
eyeballs.
do the bottom. And that's the thing too. If you have contacts, good luck doing contacts with eyelashes on both eyes, you know?
Mhm.
What I was gonna say was, I guess I don't really have a featureless face. It's just that I don't look like anybody else. I have really, really high cheekbones, to the point where I don't even need to try to accentuate them to pull off the looks that like cis women do. So I'll be like, okay, and I'll put a little blush on them, but then I have to like tone it down because my cheekbones are so high. And I've started putting like blush, then layering like highlighter over top so it gives like a shimmer effect. So you have like the emphasis on that area with like the line cut at the bottom of the cheek, like you see a lot of people do in makeup tutorials and shit. And then I just don't like put anything on my forehead. Like I basically only ever apply face makeup to my cheeks, the bridge of my nose, um and like the area that people would consider the air quotations beard part, because I still have to shave a little bit and I do get a little left behind that I use concealer over. But I have like really high quality concealer and you can't tell for shit. Um, Again, I stand Ipsy. But yeah, I was at the fucking concert last night, and it was really gay. And I'm kind of haggard because I was up till 5 a.m. because after the concert, the person I was with saw a mushrooms shop because it was like literally right next to the concert place.
Mm.
It's like everybody who was interested in drugs, who was at the 100 Gex concert, walked out and was like, "Oh, look, a shrooms place." Like we were in there, and then just like people keep coming in and coming in and coming in, and I'm like, "Wow, everybody from the fucking concert's coming on over, huh?" So then, like, we would go for a walk down the street afterwards. I ran into like my old roommate from the last place I lived in. Hi, Teresa. I don't think you're listening, but hi. Um, I don't know. Toronto's kind of fucking wild right now. Like I mentioned, they opened mushroom dispensaries here, right?
You did now.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't know that.
so
Yeah.
so that's kind of why I wanted to talk about drugs this episode, because like legalization
Love
is
drugs.
changing a little bit in Canada.
Mm.
So in Vancouver and certain other cities, it's decriminalized to own like cursory amounts of narcotics. So like cops can't bust you for having like 2 tabs of acid in Vancouver.
Mm.
Well,
This
acid's
is
not a
kind of
narcotic.
it's
I don't think no, acid is a hallucinogenic that falls under
point. What I mean by
marijuana and
narcotics
mushrooms.
is what I mean by
Illegal.
narcotics is illegal Schedule 1 drugs,
Mm.
because they all are.
Yeah.
Right? It's an umbrella term. I'm not talking about like the pharmacological definitions of what the substance is and isn't. I'm talking about the legality per se. So like in Vancouver, you can have a little bit of drugs and nobody's going to do shit about it anymore, right? As long as you're not causing a problem, you're not causing a problem, right? The same thing is kind of starting to happen in like Toronto over here. Like I was on a visit to a house that I was looking at staying in, which I'm not staying in. I'm staying with my sort of partner. Sort of not partner, it's complicated. Polyamory, yay. And on the way back from the house viewing, there's like a place called the Shroom Room, and I'm like, what the fuck? And like I Google it, and sure as shit, they're just like a mushrooms dispensary. So I'm like, okay, this can't be real. I'm gonna go check it out later. And I go to check it out, and they're closed down like they got raided, right? And I'm like, well, fuck, that's how it's gonna go. And then another one pops up, and another one pops up. I'm like, oh, y'all are doing the exact same thing that you did to make weed legal, huh? Because
Yep.
back when weed was still illegal in Canada, people would like literally willingly set up dispensaries illegally and sell it over the fucking counter. And make the cops have to get a fucking warrant to go bust them, and then just open up a new location and do it all over again. Like there is
Similar
a
things were
weed
done here
company.
too, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a weed company out here called Cafe that like the government was so mad at them for how much they got shut down during the it's not quite like legal yet period, when they've already announced that they were going to legalize it and had a date and everything. They kept busting the shops just because they could, right? And it was really fucking mean of them to do that, right? Especially because it's like a black owned shop. It's not like they're
Right.
busting the fucking white owned shops. It's like very clearly racist policing policies. So they just said fuck you and kept opening up. And then after it became legalized, they kept trying to shut them down because of what they had done while it was illegal. They kept going and they got their permits, and now Cafe is a really good dispensary in Toronto. And their whole thing is it's a cafe. So you can go there and get coffee and shit, but there's also like weed coffee you can get. So you can have like your morning Joe with like 10 milligrams or however much they do at their dose levels. They're very responsible about it. It's like 6 and 12, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And they dose you up for whatever you need. Edibles out here usually range between like 4 to 12, it seems like, for milligrams. That's a pretty reasonable level. To anybody who's like, I ate 100 milligrams. No, you didn't. They don't even make them that big, homie. If you can find me a 100 milligram edible that was legally made and sold, I will buy you a fucking cookie. But
You
yeah,
buy me a
because of
cookie?
that, I mean,
Because I made
in
I
Canada,
made them.
I'm talking about. No, that's different. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is because if you're selling a controlled substance, because it is now, right? You have to have the milligram and the dose level, and there's a whole bunch of information on it. So like if you're selling edibles in Canada or another place where it's regulated, like you have to have the THC value on it, right? So like I could tell you that the cartridge that I have that I like is Acapulco Gold for my 510 thread, and that shit's 90% THC, right? And they have to stamp it on each bag. So when I get a different file, I know if it's 88 or like 76 or some shit like that, you know? So yeah, drugs are slowly becoming more legal in Canada, and it's like kind of making things a lot better, even though our housing market is still absolute dog shit.
So, in what way is it making it?
Well, you see, have you ever done drugs?
I mean, the most I've done is I smoke weed. So, there you go.
Okay. So part of the
He's taken like
reason
7
why
narcotics. Cool.
Hallucinogenics tend to be illegal in a lot of places is because they make people ask questions, right? When
Right.
you're on it, you have a very like self-inquisitory exploration thing, right? You often examine what you're doing and why. So like I was tripping on mushrooms the other day because we were doing a raid and I thought, yeah, it only takes an hour. It takes an hour and a half to set in. This activity is only going to take us like 30 minutes tops. I can easily eat this mushroom chocolate bar before I go into like doing the raid. Turns out I started tripping in 10 minutes because of other factors in the day, and I was not having a good trip
Oh
trying to do
no.
master mode Destiny raiding, right?
Yeah, so it's
We
not a good
succeeded.
plan.
Oh, I did it though.
Oh.
We succeeded. I didn't tell anybody I was tripping until afterwards because they would have been like, "Well, we can't do this. She's tripping balls.
You're
What the
right.
fuck?"
And then you're like, nah, we could do it. It's fine. I'm a
So we did
professional.
it, and then I told them afterwards. I was like, "Whoa, I was worried for a minute. The shrooms are gonna
You
make it
literally
hard."
were like, hold my beer.
No,
I got this.
not literally, no, because like I had to switch jobs with somebody in it, right? Because like I was doing ad clear, which is like fighting the enemies, and
Mm.
it's like really hard when you're high when you're starting to peak.
Mm-hmm.
But what it does is it makes you ask questions, right? So when I moved on to go do the mechanic in our raid, I was like, man, why am I doing this? I know these people, yeah, and like I play with some of them online, but like I kind of met these people because I just wanted to play Destiny, not because I wanted to like have close human relationships. And it's not like I don't know. And I was examining like we're all here doing this super hard challenge to get our master raid title Dream Warrior, right?
Mm.
And for what? So we can like flex on people? A title doesn't do anything. It's just some stupid shit you put in front of your name. And it's like some of the hardest things to do in the game. So it's basically like saying, "Whoopee, look at me. I have friends who are good and I'm good too. I got stuff done. Yeah." You know? And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, it's so fucked up that we've like dedicated so much of our time to like grinding out these weapons that we don't even want and like trying to get all these titles just to flex on other people and assert ourselves as better when like
It
what we
doesn't mean
initially came
anything.
here to do. Yeah, and what we initially came here to do was like play the game and enjoy it and have a good time while we're doing it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then like afterwards, after we were done raiding, I was like, let's go into PvP. And we're like playing PvP with my friends. So I'm like, yeah, this is really fun. I really enjoy hanging out with friends and chatting and just playing PvP. So what is it makes it enjoyable? And then like I sat down while we were playing PvP, and there's actually a video on YouTube of us having the conversation because like
Mm.
I actually don't even think I told him I was high on mushrooms until like the end of the night.
Mm.
And I'm like, my friend is like just slaying. He's like having one of the best games of his life, and there's me in the background. Why is PvP so fun? I mean, on some level, it's because we enjoy it, right? We're
Right, yeah.
good at it, right? But then what does it mean to be good in context of good? Like, I'm a pretty goddamn good player. I go flawless in trials all the time. But then you compare me to like a guy that I play with named Reptiline Swag. He's in the top 1%. He's literally one of the best players of the game. He
Mm.
doesn't brag like he's the best player of the game. And he gets his ass kicked by other people who are in the top 1%. And you'll have people who absolutely sweat it out on him and fucking just stomp him down, right? And so I was like, we're good at this, yeah, but what is good even really in context too, right? Does skill in something really equate to simply being able to like best your opponent and assert that you have dominance over them? And like this is the kind of questions that I'm asking just because I'm playing a fucking PvP game while I'm tripping. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, and so then you're like, if
So
you
like,
apply those same questions that the general public can ask themselves about, like, why am I working this shit job? Why are we
and
participating in
like, what
capitalism?
I'm really hoping for is really rich people in positions of power to have a really bad trip, if I'm being honest.
Hmm.
Because when you have a bad trip, you're typically confronted about a lot of your negative self-talk. So
Hmm.
like on 420, I did more mushrooms because I thought I should because it was 420 and it's the perfect day to do it, and nobody can be like, "Why are you tripping today?" I'd be like, "Yo, it's 420. Fuck off my nuts," you know.
Hmm.
Um and because I forgot the golden rule, which is set and setting, my house was chaotic because like I'm planning on moving, nothing's organized, everything's strewn everywhere. I was like staring in the mirror while I got high because I was like doing my makeup while it was coming on. So like as I'm starting to peak, I'm staring in the mirror and getting way too high and I wasn't comfortable with it. And then I didn't have any good settings to ground me to go into. So I started like freaking out and being like, no, I don't want to trip like this anymore. Because sometimes like the trip kind of wants to swallow me up and I go to a different place in my mind, and that's okay. It happens a lot. It's not like I'm physically transported there. It's only ever like when I close my eyes I see these things, you know. But like I went to the corner store and got some orange juice because that can kind of counter effect the effects, I'm told, but it didn't really do shit.
Hmm.
Plus they didn't have real orange juice, they only had Sunny D.
Oh yeah, that's not real orange juice.
Ain't gonna do shit, only and I also got vitamin water because of I remember Fish saying something about B12 or D12, and I was like, yeah, Fish knows what she's talking about. I'm gonna get the vitamin water. So I'm like sitting there on my bedroom floor as I'm tripping harder and harder and harder and getting like really paranoid and like feeling just horrible fear, right?
Hmm.
And in that fear, I was like, you know what? I'm not a fearful person. I don't stare into the face of evil and go,
Oh
I need
no.
to give up. I need to lay down. I need to surrender. I'm always the person who's like, you can fucking kill me with my boots on, you know?
Right.
You can take it from me when I die. And I like it was a hard trip because I had to deal with all the negative self-talk that I've ever accumulated over my life, you know? Like at one point in the trip, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm Prometheus because if I could steal fire from the gods, I would, and that's why I'm trapped down on this," you know, shit like that, right? And you go over all the negative self-talk. But in my mind, I knew who I was and I knew what I believed and I knew where I stood. So when like really paranoid shit that I've like had to deal with back when I was like tripping when I was on the street, when shit like that came back up, I was like, no, I know exactly where I stand on these issues and I will not be swayed like a fucking mountain. You can kill me before I'll budge on it. And the
Hmm.
trip was just like good. And it just like moved on. And like, I don't know.
Like a
I
test.
then I met some spirit allies in that trip. It was a very difficult one. I'm not going to say who the spirit allies are on podcast. It's not right. I don't even tell most people. I can tell y'all afterwards if you want, but yeah. Um so like I had a really big spiritual experience where I confronted a lot of my negative shit simply because I was having a bad trip, right? And like the possibility for the world to be made a better place when like rich, powerful businessmen who like to get fucked up and experiment and think that they run the world. Well, maybe one of them just happens to eat too much mushrooms one time. Just saying.
But then, like, what happens if, like, the rich and powerful, they have a good trip? And then they're like,
They'll probably
oh,
realize that they are connected to the universe and that they're one with everything, and that the people that they've been harming are also a part of themselves, and that they were meant to be an integral part of the ecosystem, and that at some point capitalism threw things awry, and that they've been complicit in a system that they didn't necessarily give consent to agree to, and they've been perpetuating colonial violence on people across the world
you would
unaware.
hope that that would be the message they'd receive, or they'd be like, wow, I am a god and I am doing great things to the world.
Yeah, I was gonna say though, there's also catch-22 because apparently Elon Musk does acid.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I've heard. We all know he smokes weed. We've seen it on the fucking camera, right?
Oh, yeah. I
So
hate that mother.
so pharmacological substances and entheogens are not necessarily a direct route towards self-awareness or realizations, but it's a hell of a lot closer than just going out and getting blackout drunk with the homies.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like alcohol doesn't really. I don't know. Alcohol doesn't really do much for me anymore. I think it's because like I'm on like certain medications that just really don't agree with alcohol. So like I'll have like I used to be able to drink beer. Like I could have like a couple beers, but like now I have like a sip of beer, a sip of alcohol, and I'm like all I taste is alcohol. Gross to me. Weird.
That's kind of why I got onto the weed train so hard, because it doesn't fuck me the same way that alcohol does. It doesn't make me feel gross after using it.
Yeah, and alcohol hits my stomach really.
Makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, I don't really like alcohol, like almost at all. Like I might enjoy like like if it's a nice like whiskey or rye or bourbon or something, I might enjoy like a small glass on the rocks if I'm not, if it's like maybe like early evening, because I generally can't sleep. No matter like if I like sip alcohol, like if I take a couple sips of alcohol, my brain will not shut down at night. It's the weirdest thing. I just can't sleep. I don't know if it's a reaction. I don't know what it is. It just won't let me sleep. It's almost like caffeine. It's really weird. I'm just really
I have
sensitive
a
Babe,
to
your
it.
camera isn't on. Your camera's just loading. I was trying to hold my hand up. Am I muted?
I have a bit of an
Can you hear
explanation
me?
for that,
No,
Scott.
I can hear you. What are you talking about?
Your camera's not on.
Not on it.
It's
I see you.
streaming, but it's oh, okay, then it's my phone. Sorry. I'm going back to
Are you
Okay.
good?
What was that, Sophia? I'm sorry.
Oh, I have an idea of what it might be. What makes you trip, or not trip, stay awake. Oh,
Dipping out. Connection. I think Mercury's doing that Gatorade.
I was just about to say that. I'm like, Mercury's in Gatorade.
Yeah. Sophia, I don't know if you can hear us, but we.
you under, right?
Okay, so we lost you for like the
Sophia, we like
past.
lost you for a while.
Yeah, so we did not hear
What?
anything. Yeah, like the past like
And
30 to 45 seconds,
and
we did not hear you. Poof.
Mm-mm.
She's a witch. She's a witch. She poofed. Yeah, we've been having tech issues. Every time we go to record, we have tech issues. That's besides the point, but...
well,
Hello?
I mean, that's just my shitty internet.
Hmm.
Did Rue drop for y'all or just for me?
What?
Did Rue drop out of the call for y'all, or was
I
that
dropped.
just... Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rue left the call, but your connection dropped, Sophia.
My
We
internet shut
couldn't.
out
Yeah,
at the same time.
we couldn't hear
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
So what I was saying is, like, when I have tolerance for weed and I smoke before bed, I can literally hit my concentrate vape and then close my eyes and go to sleep, right? When I don't have tolerance and I smoke even just a little bit weed, I'm like woken up by the stimulation that the high is providing, because it's so much I can't not pay attention to it. I think something similar might be happening with the alcohol, right? Because it has a very sedentary and sedating effect on people. Sedentary is probably the horribly worst wrong word. I meant sedating effect. And so, like, if you're not used to consuming it and having your body tolerate a lot of the effects that make your like ability to function more impaired, you won't feel the sedating effect as much, because you'll be focusing more on like you ever been so drunk that you can't sleep because you have the spins and you feel sick?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I
It's
was
like
young.
that. Yeah, it's like that.
And then in that moment, I was like, why the fuck do people do this every fucking weekend?
I know.
And then especially like in
Trauma.
college, like people would go out, Friday night, Saturday night, even sometimes Sunday night, wake up for an 8 a.m. class Monday morning, and I'm like, how?
There's a quote from a neurotypical person, and I always thought about it whenever I got drunk. Let's drink until we can't feel feelings anymore. What?
Yeah, I
What?
don't.
But apparently it does that to some people. It has an
It
emotional
makes
numbing effect.
Yeah, like
But I will
alcohol
say,
makes me feel a lot more feelings. What are you saying, Scott?
but well, I was gonna say, I just remembered a little bit of like, because I know we're talking about like ethanogens and the use of
Hmm.
substance and altered states, um, but we're also discussing alcohol, and I do want to bridge those things together because throughout magical history they did bridge at times.
Hmm.
So not only did we have like magical beers, or medicinal beers, ritual beers, etc. We also had ritual and medicinal wines, and often this wine was particularly made during this time of the year. It was a sweet woodruff wine, and what woodruff does when sort of, I guess, tinctured by the wine, it it would release inhibitions, and in certain traditional witchcraft covens in Europe, they often drink this particular wine during their Beltane rites. So I thought that was just like a little bit of interesting little tidbit.
I think.
Also, there's a really interesting crossover between fermentation, decay, and drugs, right? Because weed is one of the ones that doesn't fall under that. It's just a plant that you just like consume, right? But alcohol, mushrooms, and LSD, all of those are resultant because of a breakdown process. You get alcohol with like yeast and hops and all that stuff breaking down. People who actually make alcohol know the process far better than someone like me who's never done it, but it is a fermentation process, as we all know. Mushrooms is the same goddamn thing. Any fungi only feeds on actually no, with the exception of parasitic fungi like cordyceps, most fungi feast primarily on things that are already dead, right? It's a
Right.
state of like decay and decomposition, right? An acid, which a lot of people think is a chemically synthesized substance, is actually an extract of ergot, which is like the mold that grows on wheat that made people trip out at the Salem witch trials shit. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like all of it comes back to very natural sources, and it does have to do with these kind of like phonic decay and death energies, right? Not to say it all does, because like you have DMT or ayahuasca, which is made by combining different plants. I don't know how to make either, nor do I want to say how to make it on a Twitch stream if I did.
No.
But yeah, people combine like a vine and some other shit, and they make ayahuasca because of how the chemicals work together, right? So not everything is in the realm of it comes from decay, but like most of our substances comes from the animal kingdom, right? So I don't even know, like amphetamines. I think that's one of the ones that we synthetically made as humans.
We produce it naturally, and they found a way to extract it from
Thought
humans
so,
and synthesize it in a lab. Yeah.
but it is
Your
still synthesized. Yeah,
What about like
yes.
cocaine though? Wouldn't is that considered an amphetamine, or is that just like a
that's
stimulant?
cocaine is another
Not
one that comes out of the plant kingdom. It's a
Yeah.
refined one that comes from the coca leaves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
correct.
in
And opium
original
comes from
indigenous,
coffee.
Mm.
Same.
correct. Yep, the milk of the poppy. The original
And if you have
indigenous
a
use of
drug
the coca
test,
plant.
don't sorry.
No,
If you
go
have a
ahead. Go ahead.
drug test, if you have a
Don't
drug
eat
test,
poppy
don't
seed
eat a
bagels.
poppy seed bagel because you will
Yeah.
fail.
Hmm.
They think you're doing meth.
Or heroin.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
because
Thank
it's
you.
an opiate.
So much meth around here.
Yeah.
And heroin.
But like amphetamine is one of the ones that's extracted out of a lab, but most of them are still produced using like a plant agent, right? Cocaine, for example, it's the coca leaves, and in the original indigenous use, they would pluck a few of the leaves of the plant off and chew it up and stick it under their tongue, and it would give them the energy to like help with what they were doing, right? It
Mhm.
wasn't cocaine as we think about it until the white man came along and learned to refine it. And the process of refining and making cocaine is like fucking nasty. It like involves gasoline from what I've seen.
Mhm.
Really?
Yep.
Depends. Yeah.
There's many ways to make drugs. I'm not gonna pretend to be a chemist even for a slight second.
Right. No, I just it's interesting like how much of it just comes from a plant, but then it's like what what like made someone sit there and be like, all right, now how can we make it like how
Money,
can we make it even
capital,
worse for
capitalists.
uh
They always seek to make something as addicting as possible and short-lived in the high so that you have people coming back. Like one thing I think that we failed to fundamentally realize about why our world is bad right now is because we have allowed people who are deliberately making things to make the world a bad place to go about their business as normal without directly opposing them.
and it
Pure and
keeps
simple, right?
happening and it just keeps happening. And like
Because there's a fetishization of powerlessness that happens in the world, right?
mm,
Everybody wants to shit on the French until it comes time to go fucking riot in the street for your rights, and then somehow France is the only one fucking do it while we all wag our tongues about how it's impossible, you know? Frustrating.
hmm.
Correct. Oh, but I wanted to get back, um, jumping back like 30 minutes ago, but I pulled this out. This is actually you were saying about like how they open dispos in Canada selling mushrooms and stuff like that, and how they have to put all the information. They have to do the same in like obviously I'm in the PA medical program, and so this is how they
Mm-hmm.
do it in PA. Each state has its own rules and
Rules.
regulations when it comes to it, or not at all. I find it funny. Both Jersey has legalized recreational, and now Delaware has legalized recreational. So we are surrounded on three sides, almost four actually, if you count DC, of legalized marijuana states. But they have to actually send the products off to a lab, and you can like scan that little QR code, and it'll tell you here's all your THC and CBG breakdowns, and here's your
Oh yeah.
terpenes, and here's yep, they got to put all of them. There's all my information. I should probably cover that up. But yeah, it has like the percentage. I don't trust the percentages either because they're paid to put higher percentages on products because people like my mother think, oh, higher THC means better product. And I'm like, no, it does not. I will
It
literally
often
only buy
can
this
though.
strain. I will only buy this strain because it is the best strain in the world. That's all.
I buy based on THC content because I do absolutely notice it makes a difference in my high. So like I smoke what people would consider chronic because I'm over here hitting like concentrates. And if I'm not hitting concentrates, the shit I'm smoking is like 20 to 30% THC, right? Um,
Mm.
but a lot of that's also dependent on the law, right? Like in BC, specifically, I don't know if they're going to do this in Ontario. There's a law coming out where for a long time, for like up until now, the government was making sure that your weed was tested in a lab to like have accuracy to like give the THC.
Hmm.
But now people have to pay to have their own grading done, which means that if you claim that it's higher than what it is when you have it graded, you're liable for fraud if it's proven to be lower. So people are going to start undercutting and underballing their THC values in Canada because it's not done by a third party independent source that draws away the onus, I guess is the word I'm trying to use, the onus of what's happening there, right? Because if a company says, if you get pulled into court and they're like, it's not 23% THC, it's 18%, that's a 5% difference. You can say, we sent it to this lab and they told us this, we don't have the regulation equipment, right? And that will hold up. Our
Dropped out there.
that way.
Yeah,
You dropped out
I'm
first.
coming back though.
I hate the internet.
Back. Back.
Stop it.
It's been quite a day of it. Can't keep my you back, Sophie. Oh my god.
I feel
Yep.
like Christella.
It's
Bet.
just my internet. It does this all the time, even when we're not doing witches Betwixt shit. Like I
Yeah.
said, I'm moving at the end of the month. This is not going to continue to be an issue.
I'm not worried about it. It's just I've accepted it as part of the experience.
Yeah.
With all
You
of our
really are
different
fuzzy.
setups. Huh?
You really are fuzzy.
I know, I can't get it to stay focused. I do.
So yeah,
Won't focus.
what I was saying before I lagged out is that THC out here for a while was determined by an independent lab that the government paid for, essentially, or like was setting up. But now, because people have to make sure that their own product is rated by their own people, they're going to underball their THC to make sure that they don't get sued because they don't have liability protection of having a third party group having done the testing for them. That's simple, right? So the numbers are
Yes.
going to change because of it. And like little things like that do change how the testing works, right? So yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into like when it says 23% THC on your bag, for example.
Why do people take very simple things and make it so complicated? Such as marijuana. Just fucking smoke it. Thank you. Welcome.
Safety,
Thank you for coming to
because
my TED Talk. Like,
I'm gonna give you a little example.
it's
Safety,
like people just make it
because
so fucking complicated, and then all the laws and the this, and then it's like, well, this country does this, and then this state, and then this city. It's just like all of this is fucking fake and made up. Just smoke weed and shut up.
well, some of
That's
it's
how
to
I
make sure
feel.
that like regulations happen so that you don't get bad product, right? Because like
Right.
when legalization happened out here and the government was the one who was guilty of this, not like independent black market sellers, they were selling fucking moldy weed because they didn't know how to store it.
Ugh.
And for the longest time the government did.
I
Go ahead.
still see that pop up on Reddit from like a lot. It is a huge problem also in the like I have been in the program for 4 years. I have never bought a moldy product. I have
Yeah.
had some suspiciously filled carts before, but I know settling happens in process. But I know that in other, like in PA in the early days of the program and in a lot of programs, there was a mold problem because they were spraying the plants with this sticky shit and not curing them because why would they? And then just packaging them in containers and shipping them off. And yeah, but
So
I
it's a
will
lot
say I
better
have never
now.
seen moldy weed.
Yeah, I have never seen it either. But when it came out, from what I understand, I preface this with what I understand because I'm not in the industry. But like the government tried to grow and sell their own, it seemed like for a while, and that was what was causing the moldy issues because they don't have a fucking clue what they're doing. And
Exactly.
it's been opened up to multiple companies to do it. So I'm going to reference a really good one that I have right in front of me. Pure Sun Farms. If you ever open up weed trade with Canada, you're going to start getting to smoke Pure Sun Farms. It's one of the best weed growers in BC, in my opinion. They're from like Surrey, British Columbia, so it's like down at the coast. What was I going to say about it? It's fucking good. It's an independent company. They don't ever really sell moldy weed ever, right? Like the stuff I have right here is 26% THC, and I believe it because it hits like it, right? And it's like just that simple, like passing the keys on to the people who actually know how to do the thing to begin with, and like fix the whole fucking problem. And you don't hear about like moldy weed in Canada anymore. You hear about like fucking artisanal weed now, and like they have like these specially designed gel packets that they put in the weed thing to
Ovida
not
packs.
only, yes, and it not only prevents the mold buildup but also prevents your weed from getting too dry. It's amazing.
I keep it in my mason jar where I keep my flour, which I buy off of the street because honestly, the dispo prices are still too much for my poor blood. So I
Yeah,
just buy off the
y'all
You
haven't
guys,
had that point. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
no, I'm so sorry. I hate to add one more issue. I'm starting to get a migraine. I can hardly see my screen. I'm getting my optical halo thing. I'm gonna have to unfortunately drop out
Okay.
because I'm about to
You're
be in
good,
a lot
man.
of pain in the next couple of minutes here if I don't go take medicine.
Go lay down.
Take your meds,
I am
lay
Oh,
so
down.
sorry.
Okay.
No, it's okay. It's
I
okay.
will be back next Sunday, I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
We would always
take
prefer you
care.
step
Feel
out when you
better.
need to take care of yourself than push yourself for something you shouldn't be doing. Have a good
All right.
rest.
All right, you guys. I'll talk to you later. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Don't feel bad. You're not
All
allowed to
right.
feel bad about this.
Okay.
Healing,
Bye.
healing vibes.
Yeah, I don't want them to feel bad. Like, that's another thing too. Nobody should ever have to stay in something where they're feeling unwell just because they feel it's owed to other people. Period.
Oh well.
Fucking end.
Amen.
You can apply
Oh my
that to
God.
every
Speaking of new
aspect of life.
cannabis. Sorry, what'd you say, honey?
No, I was just saying you can apply that to every aspect of life. Don't
For
do
real.
something you
Yes.
don't want to do.
Yes, you can. No, actually, so speaking of cannabis and new cannabis, brands you mentioned mentioned that brand again, Sophia,
Your
from
Sun
Canada.
Farms.
That's it. There is actually on my commute to work, as I said, New Jersey has recreational dispos now, and there is one opening like on my commute to work, and it's called Daylight Cannabis, and I looked it up, and it's actually
Oh, sick.
Canadian.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
was gonna say we're also getting cross ownership things that happen too. So there's a couple Canadian companies that are owned by American investors. There's one called Value Buds, which I don't shop at because it's an American investor, which means that they get to purchase weed at lower rates than local people do, and they use this to like undercut the market and fuck over other like legit sellers. So I don't fuck with the Value Buds one, for example, but there's plenty of other ones that are owned by like American subsidiaries, and I'm totally fine with that. There's like Fire and Flower is a stock, I believe, because like if you go onto like Wealth Simple or any type of stock market exchange, like you can just dead ass see the fucking companies being traded on the stock market. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've been
Oh,
thinking
there's
about that. Like, I have company stock, and like once I take care of my credit card debt, I want to start playing around with the stock market a little bit because I have like value, like I have stock that I can sell, like for my company, so then I can have money to play around the stock market. And I think just like investing in fucking weed companies is probably the way to go.
You want to hear something
Yeah.
funny?
Mm.
I invested money in crypto and stocks last like 2 years ago. I pulled out of the crypto because I was mad at it and it was totally a scam, obviously, in the
Yeah.
long run. But I can't log into my Wealth Simple right now, and I haven't tried, and I'm just like annoyed by the whole thing, so I haven't. I'm just sitting on some stock in there, and I have no idea what value it's at. But the funny thing is what I invested in. Okay, lasers and weed.
fucking right.
Was it
Investment in a
Jewish
laser
space
company.
lasers
I mean,
specifically?
if it was, I would have put all my money into it. Let's be real. But no, I invested in like a laser company.
Laser engraving is the way, man. Like you can engrave AI onto a stone. So it's literally like you can give life to something through it's
So you
it's
really
cool.
Sounds like nope.
you want to hear something that's gonna blow your mind?
Oh, I'm ready.
Laser is apparently an acronym.
Yes, it is. I just cannot remember for the life of me what it fucking stands for. But yes, it is.
It's like
Some long ass fucking name. I just remember when laser pointers first became popular, and like everyone had these little fucking keychain laser pointers. You could get them everywhere, especially like in Wildwood, like at the beach and stuff, like touristy areas. And all I remember is my parents were just so pissed off about these
yes,
fucking
the
laser
most common
pointers.
one is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation.
That's what I
Baby.
was just gonna say. I was like, I know it was light amplification, that was the two words, and then I couldn't remember the stimulated emission of radiation.
Baby.
It's such a fucking bad acronym, but such a good word.
Sharks with freaking lasers on their farm.
Seriously.
Frick fuck man.
But I remember like we would be like eating ice cream like at the boardwalk or something, and all of a sudden you just have like fucking laser dots like all over you, like from all the
They're coming
kids
for you, man!
with their fucking lasers. My dad hated it. He was like on a warpath. He's like, get shot, fuck, like. And of course, me
Take
and
a
my
laser to
sister.
the eye and then you're blind.
Of course, me and my sister are
Right.
like, I want a laser pointer. I want a laser pointer.
Seriously.
Now you can get them, and they were
And then
kind of expensive when they first came out. Like they
Yeah.
were like $30 $40 for like a nice kit, and now they're like $5.
$5.
Yeah.
And then you have kids like me who go to the laser arena for like laser tag
Mm.
and then try to unlock the achievement for winning the game using melee only. Sorry.
No,
Yeah. You and my friend Rick would probably take over a laser tag squad.
No, I will actually explain why I don't like laser tag very simply, and you're going to be a little bit more scared of me because of it.
Because you're too good
I
at
don't
it?
like I don't like laser tag because my opponents don't feel fear. It's
What?
not because I want.
Because I don't feel fear.
So let me
What the
explain.
fuck?
Anybody in laser tag is Rambo. It doesn't hurt. You just run out. Everyone's
Right.
playing like jackasses, right?
Yeah.
In paintball, that shit hurts. Everybody's afraid of getting shot. I need my opponents to understand that when I roll up on them, it takes cojones, and they know they're about to fucking feel it, okay? It's an entirely different psychological situation to have a gunfight where it's actually going to hurt you versus a gunfight where it's just shooting lasers at each other.
I'll be honest, I get pissed off during laser tag because it's so fucking dark in there and I can't fucking see shit. So that's the first thing that I'm mad about, is that I can't fucking see. Because I just don't have good dark, like low light vision at all.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm like,
nobody can see in a laser tag arena, right?
So then like I can't fucking see. And then like I got all these like, and then usually like, you know, there's young kids in your group because, you know, it's a kid friendly usually spot that you have laser tag at. So you got all these kids, and I'm like, I'm trying not to run over people's kids, because God forbid you bump into someone's kid. Now it's got a whole fucking problem. And then all of a sudden these kids are just like, and then you're like, your fucking thing is just going off every 5 seconds. You're like, oh, I got fucking shot again. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna like leave. Bye. Like I'm so fucking aggravated by laser tag. Meanwhile, my friend Rick is like strategically around corners and ducking, and I'm like, fuck this.
Rolling and athletic bitch.
Yeah, and like that's another thing too. I don't need some kid using zero tactics, like running around like a fucking idiot and shooting people and being like, "Oh, I got you. I'm better than you."
Yeah.
And it's like, homie, fucking 1v1 me on the field.
There are leagues, though. I mean, there are very competitive, like, whatever competitive leagues of laser tag that exist, apparently, but not my thing. I think I would like to watch like a professional laser tag thing. Like, I think that would be cool to watch like a pro laser tag tournament, but to participate in one,
I'm telling you, man,
pissed off.
Paintball's where it's at. Paintball's where it's fucking at, man.
I don't like getting hurt, so I don't think I'd like paintball.
Yeah, it's great.
Either.
It's okay. So first off, it's actually not that bad. At first, you're like, oh my god, I'm getting shot. Ah, it's a paintball. Ah, and then afterwards, by the time you've played a bunch, you get shot, and you feel a bump, and you're like, uh-oh, better check. And you like touch yourself to see if there's blood. No, I'm not kidding. It's like you check for the paint sort of thing. And if there's no paint, you keep going, right? I've had people bounce rounds right off my fucking head and had them not break and been like, oh, well, it's got to break to play. Keep going, you know? So
been hit.
your body's
I have
kind of
been
gets
hit by paintballs. I have been hit by like beanbag bullets, and I have also been hit hard enough to like leave a welt. And now the paintball, like I will say, the sandbag hurt worse than the paintball, but I bruises all over. Like I just bruise so easily, and I'm like, no, thank you. I don't consent to that.
I guess for me is like I'm not good at things like that. I'm not really into guns anyway, like anything kind of shooty or whatever. So like I don't really like guns. So like there's that, and there's all this like running around and dodging and I'm like, no,
wearing gear.
No,
it's fucking amazing. I love it.
Different strokes for different folks.
I'm like low-key kind of crazy though. Like I said, I like film because it's insane. It's never the same. It's always at a different place and at a different time and with different people. And people are like, doesn't having a lack of consistency kill you? And I grab them by the coat and I say, the mundanity kills me, damn it, the mundanity does. I gotta go fast, man. Just like Sonic's taint. God, why do you think I played Tracer in Overwatch?
Oh yeah. I think I had someone here. I think a friend of a friend was like, and like I think we had like time to kill, and I put on Overwatch. Like I was just playing a game, and they were like Overwatch, and I was like, all right, whatever, man. Like don't come for me. Like I'm just playing a damn game. Like shut up. Don't judge me
I'll
as a
beat your ass
person
with a
because I'm
slice of cheddar
playing.
cheese on it.
Yeah, like man, what the hell?
What were they judging
What's
you about
that?
playing Overwatch for?
Yeah, it was just like Overwatch. Like this when I think Rick's friend was here. But
well, here's what I'll say. Hey, friend, I'm sorry that I loved this game before Activision purchased Blizzard and turned it into an absolutely morally bankrupt shell of a company.
right.
I am still allowed to enjoy the thing that I like, irrelevant of your opinions on it.
Right, and
I
it's not like
know
I
that
pay them
Activision Blizzard is
money.
fucked up, and
Yeah.
give them as little money as humanly possible.
Yeah.
I'm still allowed to enjoy my favorite game, you know, because I don't enjoy other games PvP as much as I enjoy Overwatch. It's just a fact.
There's just something about Overwatch. It's like you can just kind of pick it up and just play it. Like
It's
there's a lot of different modes. You know what I mean? It's very easy just to kind of just jump back into.
so what it is for me is it fits my skill set as a player really well. I'm very good at run and gun shit. What Tracer does, it fits me perfectly for what I want to do in a game. Not every game give me that opportunity, right? Like you notice I play the Hunter in Destiny and I'm dodging around and doing the same kind of shit. Like I'm the mobile character. I'm the gotta go fast because like I do that shit IRL, right? Like when we do paintball and stuff, I'm not like the person who picks the gun that's got a whole bunch of rounds and walks up the main part of the field just shooting endlessly. I'm the person who like wears my camouflage, sneaks around the edges of the forest so far on your peripherals that you don't even notice me until I come up, and then I solo run up on you and your squad going.
Yeah,
It's pretty fun.
I used to always create characters like that in all kinds of games. Like I always used to play like the rogue or the the fast squishy character, right? The fast the hidey stealth kind of character. And I would die all the time. And I thought like cuz like me being like a smaller person like that fits my sort of like theme, right? And then I realized I'm like, I think I'm like more of a tank, like maybe in real life too, because I'm not very quick. I'm not very like agile like that. But I could stand there and take a hit, I suppose, and I could just like keep going. So, but we were watching Mandalorian, and there was like a fight scene, and the one like he basically looks like a Titan from Destiny, the one guy with the huge fucking massive
Paz
gun.
Vizsla.
Yes.
Yes.
And his final stand, and I was like,
Spoilers.
like, whatever spoilers. But yeah,
It
so
is
he's
recent.
yeah,
It's within the last 2 weeks.
yeah. So but yeah, so like I was just watching that scene, and I was like, that's why I play a tank now, because I also don't have patience anymore. Like I don't have time to be hiding and waiting for opportunities. No, I'm just gonna jump out and I'm gonna start shooting all you motherfuckers, okay? Because I don't have time to waste.
Exactly.
I felt that when he was like, "I got this."
Oh,
when a tank learns patience, though, your team excels.
Very true.
Speaking of video games,
Hmm.
I completely more spoilers for anyone that hasn't seen it, but this has been out in theaters for almost a month, so you have no excuse. Super Mario
Well.
Brothers. Touring it at this point.
Right.
Come on now. Yo ho ho, Pirates Life for me. There was actually an after scenes credit after those. There was an after credits scene. I switched those
I
words.
fucking hate after credit scenes. They're so fucking stupid, and they're I hate
Thank
them.
the Marvel movies for it.
Hate it.
I'll
Amen.
tell you why I like them, but go ahead and say your thing first.
Yeah, no. So it wasn't that major. It was very short. The big reveal that everybody waited for is it was literally Yoshi's egg, and it was like Yoshi. And
Yeah.
so the next movie will probably obviously, but we already saw the stampeding Yoshis in
Mhm.
the Super Mario movie. Like that was
It's
part of
just
the we saw.
foreshadowing.
Exactly. It's just a little like,
fuck.
oh, look what's coming next. Yeah.
I've learned so much about Hollywood. I've learned that you can tell what's going to happen in an episode of a serialized TV show by watching the previously on. Because if you notice, they don't give you exactly what happened last week. They actually give you the story beats that are relevant to the episode to come on. So, like, big
Especially if it's
spoilers
a
here.
show that jumps around a lot.
Yes. So Mandalorian, I'm going to give the example for this. I'm going to spoil the season finale. Turn away or mute right now if you have not watched. You good? We're good. So at the previously on Mandalorian scene for the final episode, you remember how they did the flashback to episode 3 with the turncoat doctor who's doing the clone stuff, who's like trying to turn over a new leaf for the Republic, but then Moff Gideon's personal I don't know how to describe what her position would be. She goes and gets the cloning information for Moff Gideon.
Like his spy, I guess, his informant,
Yes.
whatever.
I knew that
That bit.
story beat was going to come up on that episode because they said previously on The Mandalorian.
Mm.
And then they referenced something that had happened on episode 3 when we're on episode 8. And it's a 5-episode gap. So you knowing this, you can actually go and watch a show and watch the previously on shit and surmise the plot beats that they're going to talk about in the episode and the importance of it based off of what you've seen ahead of time.
And that's like watching, and like sometimes that is what kills fiction and fantasy for me. Sometimes
Mhm.
is because I have, like, not that I work in Hollywood or production or anything like that, but I have a writer's brain, and so I know how a story is written, and so like I understand, like, or like there's just like certain tropes that you'll see over and over again. Is like with the other scene in The Mandalorian, again, spoilers, big dude's last stand. I was like, they're highlighting this guy a lot, like they are showing him
Mhm.
a lot. I was like, he's gonna die. Like, also Game of
It
Thrones
was
has really prepped me for deaths in shows.
so I'm gonna pull on my film knowledge here and tell you a couple things to ruin The Mandalorian for you.
Oh, excellent. It's my
First
favorite
off,
thing ever.
people were actually theorizing that he was showing up a lot because the person who was voicing Paz Vizsla is actually the director of The Mandalorian, and he's notorious for showing up as throwaway characters in his stuff.
Mm.
So people were theorizing that he was going to have his helmet removed and we'd see the face of Paz Vizsla, but it was just the director doing the voice acting for it. The second thing I'm going to spoil for y'all, grit your teeth hard for this one, okay?
Mm.
It's not Pedro Pascal who's wearing the Mandalorian armor.
Not always, no.
Oh yeah.
Almost never.
Almost never now.
Never.
I remember reading something about that, about like the first
It's the
season. It's like
grandson of
3 different
John
guys. Yeah, I think
It's the grandson of John Wayne does most of the stuff. I do believe they have a stunt guy as well.
Yeah.
And then Pedro Pascal did get brought in for the first season, yes, but it's for the scenes where they need to do the helmet removal, right? Now that he has his helmet on, they're only really using like him for voiceover, which is the industry term for voice acting, where you like voice something and it goes over in post.
I mean, that was,
and then
but Star Wars has been doing that forever. I mean, that's been Darth
Yeah.
Vader since.
Sure, that's
you know,
totally fine by me. But what I'm just saying is a lot of people think that under that suit
It's
is Pedro
Pedro.
Pascal
Yeah.
running around, and it's not. It's the grandson of John Wayne.
Yeah.
And that's why and when you notice that,
He has that
watch for
cowboy
it, because you'll
swagger.
see he holds his guns the same way that John Wayne did, and like a lot of the shit, like he studied his grandfather's stuff. So like you're seeing literally
Space
the
cowboy.
grandson of the old big Western star doing that shit in Mandalorian armor. Ugh. And yes, while we're on the space cowboy topic, like goddamn, I hated the Book of Boba Fett because it was basically dances with banthas. We were joking about.
Fucking
We
thank
didn't
you.
finish it.
I didn't even. Yeah, we didn't even finish it. I was like, this is just it. Like, it just felt like fan service. It just felt like pew 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 Boba Fett. Pew 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 pew.
No,
Look,
I'll
it's
tell you what
Boba
it
Fett.
feels like. It feels like Disney's not allowed to tell Pocahontas stories anymore, and they fucking know this, so they're settling for space Indians, and we fucking hate it.
What, like the Mandalorians?
Not all of us hate it. Not all of us hate it, right? And no, Mandalorians are similar but different.
Yeah,
I hella vibe
because
with what the Mandalorians are about, but Mandalorian is a creed, not a people, and that is specifically different about a lot of indigenous people because they are a people. In certain instances, they can be a people who are united by a creed, but it's usually like people just like any other part of the world sort of
I
deal,
really
right?
vibe with the
So,
Mandalorian story because, like, I feel like
mhm,
a lot of queer people can identify with that. This idea of like, especially the tribe that Din Djarin is part of. He's very like
mhm,
we bring in these foundlings, and we're a family that's put together. Like we've created our own
mhm.
family.
And they do have like, the traditional beliefs, the tenets, the practices that they carry on. Um, but a lot of media is guilty about doing space Indians all the fucking time.
Hmm.
Here's another really good example of this. Destiny. Do you want to know who the space Indians are in Destiny?
Hmm.
The Elixni.
Oh, right.
It's
Yeah.
not super obvious on the outside, but if you know anything about indigenous culture, you're like, oh yeah, it's space Indians. It's basically what they're doing, right? Like there's a conversation between like Crow and Sir Ido, who's like a character, and she's like asking him to help teach the younglings because they have like an oral tradition, and like every fucking thing pretty much they do is like lifted off of Native American people because there's still like this weird idea that we don't exist and that we've been like eradicated. So we're like not even fucking included in fiction, and it's ludicrous. But that's just me going off on a rant.
Or people try to like rewrite a different version of how it could have gone. They try and like take this
Of
like,
how they wish it had gone, where like
yeah.
they basically in that type of narrative, it's the descendant of colonizers saying what they wish they could have done were they in that position,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it doesn't work that way.
No. No.
Um, so yeah, Disney's a little guilty of trying to do space Indians, and by a little guilty, I mean a lot guilty. And
But you
Star
know what?
Wars is kind of like the main way they do it.
I am a little proud of Disney, much as they're an evil. I am a little proud. I'm fairly proud of Disney because they are really saying "fuck you" to DeSantis and all the things that he's trying to do in the state of Florida. So,
How are they saying "fuck you" to him?
well, so like DeSantis is on a warpath. Anything
Yes, I'm aware.
gay, trans, fuck it all. So Disney was like, we're gonna host, like, it was either the world's or one of the biggest LGBT
It's
conferences.
the world's largest LGBTQ conference in Orlando, in Florida. And that was immediately after him announcing like the passing of the Don't Say Gay bill. And
Mhm.
then he, in response to that, said he was going to take all their tolls and taxes and build a prison next to Disney. And so they said, we're launching the first all adults only night at Disneyland in California for all LGBTQ adults. They put all of the mascots in rainbow costumes. It will feature all LGBTQ celebrities, raising funds for the Trevor Project.
So it's
um,
like every time that DeSantis is like, fuck the gays, and Disney, you should also fuck the gays, they're like, no, because we wouldn't have
no.
an audience if we fucked the gays like that. We
Do you
can't.
want me to
We
spoil this
can.
for you
We can
again?
low key fuck the gays. No, I know Disney is shit. I know they are a shit company, and I know they
They still
really don't
canceled the
care.
Owl House.
Hold
I
on, no, no, no,
like.
no,
I
no.
know
It's
Disney
worse
does
than that.
not really care about gay people, but I like the show that they're putting on. I'm all for
Yes.
it.
So
I'm
here's
all
the
for the tap
major
dance.
contradiction, okay? What's the main conservative media outlet in America that enables people like Ron DeSantis?
Fox,
Fox.
which is
Foxes.
owned by
Who
Disney.
owns Fox? Nail on the head. They're fucking funding both sides of the culture war, baby.
Oh
Enjoy
yeah,
it.
so like they don't care. Like I know they don't care either way, but I think Disney knows not to outwardly piss off the gays. Right?
So
Don't
also
outwardly
Disney
piss
has
us
a
off.
large amount of their stakes in their shareholders owned by an investment company called BlackRock, who also owns Twitch. You know where I'm going with this,
It all
right?
funnels back to the same pool
They
of
made a
evil.
policy where a company has to appear to be progressive. They have like an acronym and a rating for it, and it's not even the fact that the company has to be progressive and anti-capitalist. It's that there needs to be an illusion of the company being like
As long as you
So I
do.
like
should point out,
eco-friendly.
Hmm.
I
Go ahead.
should point out, yes, Disney owns 21st Century Fox, which is the movie production studio. Fox News is actually its own entity, which was just sued by Dominion Voting Systems for $800 million for spreading
Who
false misinformation.
who owns it
Um,
then?
Yeah, who owns Fox News though? Question.
Fox News is actually funded by the GOP directly.
No fucking.
Do
Hold
you
on.
have any
Yeah.
sources on this?
Yeah, I'm searching. Who?
Because like I've
Just
looked at
Google.
the sources. I mean, yes, but a Google search doesn't always give us the same shit. And I've done Google on this before.
All right. So Forbes. Here's Rupert Murdoch and family.
Yeah, see, there you go. That's the
So
name I was looking
Murdoch
for.
controls a media empire that includes cable
So
channel
then
Fox
it's part
News,
of the.
Times of London,
So
and
it's
Wall
the
Street
Murdoch
Journal.
Media
Yeah.
Group. That's what it is.
Correct.
Murdoch sold
Okay.
Fox's movie studio FX and National Geographic to
Disney.
Disney. So yeah, so Fox News
Mer-
is still owned by Murdoch. So yeah, basically funded directly by the GOP. Because he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, and the most disgusting part is this 800 million that they have been sued. Literally, the My Pillow guy is being forced to pay $5 million to the guy that tweeted that said, "If you can prove that the voting machines were rigged, I'll pay you $5 million." And he said, "I prove the voting machines weren't rigged. Pay me my $5 million." And that is part of the lawsuit. But unfortunately, the lawsuit counts as a credit on their taxes. It takes away from their income, so they overall pay a lower tax rate. So we are still subsidizing the lawsuit.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Sometimes I just want to play like if it wouldn't cost us money, I just want to play the Team America fucking theme song sometimes because like it's just so spot on with all the dumb shit.
America, fuck
Fuck
yeah. That's about all we can get away with.
Right, that's it.
America, fuck no. Coming
Exactly.
around to get us all fucking sad now.
Don't come to America, everybody.
So
Unless you're rich.
I'm about
Unless
to
you're
take that
rich, come
asylum
here. It
deal
doesn't
and
matter.
go be rich somewhere else. Go be rich in Europe. They'll like you like more.
Or not. I don't know.
Don't go to France.
Maybe just share your wealth.
I mean,
Try that.
maybe do France, but in Europe. Or not Europe, sorry, America.
Yeah, like be
Paris,
France.
Texas.
Yeah, like storm the Black Rock headquarters at your local country and, you know, set up not a mock guillotine, real guillotine.
Finger guillotine. Like
Yeah,
thumb
that's big enough for
guillotines.
their dicks.
Oh. No, I'm thinking thumb guillotines, so you can't be tweeting and texting and.
They don't do that anyways. They have their unpaid interns do it for them.
Right. What a time.
What a time
Yeah,
to be
what do
alive.
we do about it, huh? Oh, I know, drugs.
Exactly. We're back to our original topic.
I try to do that. If you notice, I usually deliberately have an effort to make our episodes pull into a circle so that it's not just a constant stream of us incoherently going off on whatever we want, even though that's technically what it is. I just make it tangentially seem like it's related.
We like to
Beautiful.
pretend like we look like we have a plan recording, but generally we don't.
Oh, everybody knows we don't at this point. Come on now.
Well,
If you're
I always
listening to
say
this
there is
podcast
sometimes new
after this
people.
long, you probably even got ADHD or autism to begin with, and you just like having people around and like the fact that we're not going to like take you in a really structured way, and it's kind of just like having friends around chatting, you know?
Because like I do listen to some podcasts that are like very structured, and
Mhm.
like I find that I can't really binge those. Like I can't like listen to multiple episodes in a row of the structured ones because they have the same segments and it feels very like samey. Like when I'm listening to it, I prefer like usually like if I'm going to watch or not watch, but if I'm going to listen to a podcast like multiple episodes in one go, then like I'll opt for a more like conversation style one. But our podcast, oh my god, we've had 105 episodes so far of chaos, and I love it.
Exactly.
Um,
But on
but
that note,
yeah,
we're at
speaking of
an hour
100,
and
yeah, I
15.
was gonna say we are an hour and 15. I don't want to blather on too much longer. Um, but thank you, Chris, for hanging out in the chat with you. I've been trying to kind of respond to you. It's so hard sometimes because like it's difficult to like live stream a podcast and also reply to chat because like I don't want to reply verbally if especially if other people are talking. So that's why I always try to respond in the chat, but then I'm typing and then I'm not always paying attention to what someone is saying, and so it gets difficult. We need an intern. Maybe we'll have we need an intern to
Oh my
mod
god.
our chat.
Yes.
But yes, on that note, we are an hour and 15, so we're gonna wrap things up. Any sort of concluding kind of ideas or thoughts, or makeup slash I don't know. We kind of started talking about like makeup and drugs. What makes you feel good? Makeup and drugs.
My two genders.
The two genders are makeup.
Makeup and drugs.
Um,
Beautiful things. Beautiful, beautiful things.
but I do just want to say, since we were talking about substances and stuff, if you are a person who battles with addiction and that, please like seek help for that because you want to have a healthy relationship. You don't want it to take over your life. So that's what's important.
Always consume responsibly, people.
Always.
I may advocate some very dangerous behavior, but always consume responsibly.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Unless you're me and you're stupid and you consume shit irresponsibly because you don't always think shit
Care?
out. My best advice is this. Don't go into something like that, which is an incredibly sacred experience, expecting it to just be a good time. Because you may not have a good time. You may not even want to do it in a club. You might want to just like do a lot of research first and like talk to people who've done it and maybe even hang out with people who've done it the first time you do it if you're going to do it. But just be safe because you only get I was going to say you only get one shot to fuck it up, but you get a lot of shots and you could get fucked up at any interval if you don't do your self work, right? So like if you're going to do this shit, go to therapy, do self work, be aware of your cognito hazards and your ingrained ways of thinking that are problematic to you ahead of time so you can identify when you focus in on it on the trip, right? So last thing anybody needs is their own unique special brand of crazy to start getting validated by the narrative the drugs feed you. Thank you. Good night.
Yes, absolutely. With that, we will see everybody in the next episode. Maybe we'll have a guest. Maybe we won't. I don't know. Whatever we do, it'll be what it is. Alrighty, everyone. We will see you all in the next one. Thank you for hanging out. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.